Hello, friends. I'm Geraldo Lemos Neto, and I'm here with Marco Gandra at the portal Saber Espiritismo in Belo Horizonte, Brazil. We are transmitting live for Kardec Radio, Spiritism Network, and Spiritism Dissemination. The program to know Spiritism tonight is the number 131, and we are continuing the studies of the last book and last chapter of this book by Allan Kardec, the Genesis, the miracles, and the predictions according to Spiritism. In the fifth edition, we see that there is a saying by Allan Kardec himself in the item 10, chapter 18, Signs of the Times. And he said, by foretelling the age of renewal that will open up for humankind and mark the end of the old world, Jesus was able to say that it would be characterized by extraordinary movements, earthquakes, various calamities, and signs in the sky. And let's reflect on that. It is exactly what we are facing nowadays, the absence of the transitory times that we are living in, because we are having extraordinary movements like earthquakes, volcanoes, floods, various calamities like the epidemic or the pandemic of coronavirus, and also signs in the sky with all those UFO sightings that we are seeing nowadays. So this is very close to us. It is happening right now. And then in the item 20, Allan Kardec said, the generation that disappears will take its errors and prejudices with it. The generation that emerges, immersed in a pure sources and imbued with more sound ideas, will imprint on the world an ascendant movement in the sense of moral progress, which will signal the new phase for humankind. And here we can see the differences between those two generations. The generations of trials and sufferings in which we have the paradigm of materialism and will disappear. And this generation will disappear with all its errors and with all its prejudices. And the new generation, the generation that is emerging, and that will, in the middle of the 21st century, inaugurate the times of regeneration for Earth, is immersed in a pure source of feelings, of thoughts, of understanding, of peace, of love, of fraternity, of truth. And it is imbued with more sound ideas of progress, of sharing all the knowledge and seeking for spirituality, because spirituality will be the mark of the new world, the world of regeneration that is coming upon us. And this generation will be the one that will imprint on the world an ascendant movement in the sense of moral progress, which is the signal that a new phase for humankind has arrived. And of course, we must know what this man talked about, what he wrote by psychographing more than 540 books in 75 years of work, of hard work in mediumship with Jesus and the Spiritist doctrine. Mr. Francisco Cândido Xavier, our beloved Chico Xavier in Brazil. Here is a photograph with me in July 17, 1987, when I got to interview him about his tasks and mission. And this man, the very first book that he received from his beloved mother, Mrs. Maria de São João de Deus. The book is called in Portuguese Cartas de uma Morta, Letters from a Dead Woman, and it was the second one published in 1935, but it was the first one that he received by his psychographic mediumship. And in one point, his mother told Chico about what she was learning with her mentor guide. And her mentor guide said to her, "It is up to us to run a grand movement for the restoration of pure beliefs." And I think this is very important for all of us, understanding what Spiritism is all about. And this phrase alone, it's the condensing truth about what Spiritism main object and focus is all about. It is up to us to run a grand movement for the restoration of pure beliefs. That's what we understand is the mission of the Consoler of Spiritism. In the book The Consoler, in Portuguese, O Consolador, at the question 387, the Spiritists in Pedro Leopoldo, Brazil, asked Chico Xavier, what is the greatest necessity for the medium? And the Spirit of Emmanuel wrote through the hands of Chico Xavier, the first need is to evangelize the medium himself before surrendering to the great doctrinal tasks, because otherwise you can always run into the phantom of personalism to the detriment of its mission. And this is very important, quite important to all of us, to all mediums, to all speakers, to all Spiritist movements directors, that we must know that the best way to collaborate with the higher spirits is to evangelize ourselves before surrendering into the tasks at the Spiritist movement around us. And that's why this is a necessity, because otherwise we can face a lot of personalism, and personalism is not more than egoistic and pride and vanity that sometimes comes from our past and deviate us from the real truth, the real pathway to Jesus. deviating us from our very important and very own mission with the Consoler. This phrase by Chico Xavier is another one that is very important. It was written by the Spirit of Emmanuel in the book Seara dos Médiuns in Portuguese, in English, Field of Mediums, that was published in the early 60s. And Emmanuel wrote, being a medium is to be the helper of the spiritual world. And to be the helper in a certain job is to be someone who helps spontaneously, to not overload those who are responsible for the work. So here he talks about the responsibility of all the mediums, of all of us that work in the Spiritist movement, that to be a true medium, bringing the intuition, bringing the sayings, the inspirationals from the higher spirits to this world here on earth, is to be like someone that in a certain job helps spontaneously, free of any kind of needs, any kind of complaints, any kind of asks that are not certain, and also to stay away in the position to overload those who are responsible, the real responsible spirits for this task. I also remember in the book Bezerra, Chico and You, in Portuguese, Bezerra, Chico e Você, a book that Chico Xavier received by the spirit of Bezerra de Menezes, where he stated, the time has come. The trumpet sounds, calling us all to the gospel of the Lord, men of good faith. Are you ready to erect the new earth that we all desire for our days on earth? That's the question Dr. Bezerra de Menezes asks us. Are we ready to build this new world, to collaborate ourselves with all the knowledge, with all the possibilities, with all the gifts that God gave us, to erect, to construct this new regenerated world here on earth, the world that we all desire for our days and for the days of our children and our grandchildren. Because the sounds of the trumpets are calling us all to the gospel of our dear Lord Jesus Christ, and we must attend his calling. So thank you very much for listening tonight. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to see you again in the next program to Know Spiritism number 132 next week. From Belo Horizonte, bye-bye.